Hi, this is Presley. It's 8:01, and I've just been listening to some of the conversation going on. We'll continue this conversation for a few minutes. We'll give folks another minute or two to get on. But both of you ladies are correct. It depends on how well organized your county is regarding the GOP. There are some counties in this state that are not even organized. And we have people organizing those counties in some of the rural areas. More of the suburban and urban areas in the state, they're a little more highly organized. But when you do attend Precinct ReOrg and you get elected as EC of your precinct, executive committeeman or woman,
right,
and the president, the two of you are volunteering to be a member of the executive committee of your county GOP, and you will be required to attend meetings throughout the year for the next 2 years. But you are the official voting body of your county. You will set the tone. You can bring up resolutions. You will vote on various things. A number of things happen throughout those 2 years. And it depends on how active your county decides to be. And that's all going to depend upon the leadership or lack of leadership of your county chairperson.
Well, they apparently meet on a monthly basis. And that seems like an awful lot of meetings.
Well, so it's about an hour to 2 hour meeting once a month. Okay. Here where I live in Greenville County, they have them every other month. Some counties have them quarterly. Some, they just kind of call them when they want them. But yes, but that is, if you're going to stand up and become an EC, then you must be willing to commit. Now, there's a rule in the bylaw that says if you have missed more than 3 consecutive meetings without an excuse, they can remove you as EC. It all depends on the will of the chair if they want to do that or not. But listen, if you don't think you can serve and be a voice and be a strong voice in your county, then don't run as EC, but find somebody, please, who will.
Well, I'm organizing my precinct. I don't have a whole lot of people coming that I can see. And I would love to find someone else to take the position, but I'm afraid I'm not going to find anybody. I will try. But I have trouble driving at night. I just don't know if I'm up to all those nightly meetings. So,
and listen, can I just comment?
Yes,
sure.
There's a couple of things. First of all, I drove the Edisto River the other night because I'm with you. I can't see at night, and I was coming home from a town council meeting, and it was foggy, and I was talking to my wife, and I almost drove into the river. Okay, so I sympathize with that issue about the transportation. With technology being the way it is, hopefully a lot of this stuff can be virtual, like we're doing tonight.
That would be wonderful.
And that's something that you as an individual have to push your county to do, all right? Because, and listen, I am not a COVID phobia, but there are many people that are very fearful of it. So this virtual thing that we're doing tonight may be the wave of the future. God only knows, all right? So that compounded with the transportation issue at night, don't be afraid. Your county, Charleston County, that is the war zone as far as I see. Hey, that's what do you call it? That's a large part of the first congressional district.
Right.
And based on what has gone on there in the past 4 years, listen, the whole party needs everybody they can get, but Charleston County especially. I mean, upstate is pretty solid. Charleston, that's scary.
That is scary, I know. Yeah.
It could flip. It could flip anytime. So that's the only thing I can ask you is I can't do it I can't make your commitment, but
Well,
I would hope that you would really soul search on it.
well, I will. I mean, if I can't find anybody to take it, I'll start off with it and then, keep searching for someone to replace me. But I won't just abandon it.
Okay, well, we appreciate that. Your first name is not coming up. Is it Dean Stratford?
Yes.
Dean. Okay, thank you, Dean. We appreciate that. So listen, we're going to get started right now. We've got a little over 50 people online right now. And I know we have people here from other counties all around the state. And we know that some of the counties have already started with their precinct reorg. Has anyone here online tonight, have you yet to attend your precinct reorg? Okay, Donna, would you unmute yourself and chime in? And by the way, Mike, there's no audio problems. It might be on your end. We're all hearing one another just fine. Donna Martin.
I'm Anderson County, and
Yes.
I really don't know what I'm doing.
Hi, Donna.
Bye. I talked to some folks, and I understand we're going to the precinct meeting to elect people to represent the precinct, I guess, delegates that will go on to the county and then to the state, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So were you at your precinct meeting tonight, Donna?
No, my meeting isn't until the 15th.
Oh, okay. No, I was asking if anyone had already attended yet.
Oh, no, I have not attended. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, can I just chime in here?
Sure.
Just a clarification. You go in your precinct and you elect your officers in your precinct. Then those officers go and vote for, at your county reorg, right? You vote for delegates to go to Columbia, all right? So not everybody that not everybody that has a position in the precinct is going to go to Columbia. It's going to give them the ability to designate those delegates for the county. Now, Carleton only has 6, what are they, delegates, huh?
Delegates, yes.
Yeah, 6 delegates and 6 alternates. So, we'll have like 36 precincts. So, from that 36 precincts, we have to select 6 delegates and 6 alternates to go to Columbia. So, not everybody, my point being, not everybody from the precinct goes to Columbia.
Right. So everything kind of gets whittled down, if I may. And depending on the population of your county and where you live, Colleton County, who was that was just speaking? Who was that?
My name is Frank Santarella.
Hey, Frank, Presley Stutz here. Thank you, Frank. So you're in a very, very rural county there. So you're only allowed 6. I know there are some counties that are only allowed 4 or 5 delegates, and it's all based on population. The largest county is the county where I live. We have 151 precincts, and we're allowed 79 delegates to go to the state convention. So each county is apportioned a certain number. Let me give you the numbers, how they looked 2 years ago with our county. We had approximately 570 people attend Precinct Reorg 2 years ago. But when it came to the county convention, only about 468 of them showed up. And out of that 468 that showed up, only 79 were allowed to be elected as delegates to the state convention. And then we were also allowed 79 alternates. And let me highly encourage you, if you get elected as an alternate to your state convention, go. Because the odds are many of your delegates who had planned to go to the state convention, for one reason or another, will not show up. And so the next highest vote getter, let's say 10 out of your county don't show up, then the next 10 highest vote getters on the alternate list will be seated as a delegate at the state convention. Now, at the state convention, we are only allowed 870 delegates from the entire state of South Carolina. And in order for a motion to carry, obviously we have to have 436 votes. That's 50% plus one in order to carry any vote that would take place at the state convention. But let me come back now, if I may, and is Jeff, I see Olga's on. Olga, is Jeff on? Jeff, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here, Presley.
Oh, okay, okay.
We're ready to begin.
I didn't see you there. There you are. All right. So, Jeff, if you want to take over and talk to them about the importance of showing up at precinct and paying the money and then going to at least the county convention minimally.
Yeah, and we'll go through, we'll get through to the agenda and the PowerPoint here next and kind of talk through some of that. But what Presley is talking about is critically important because, you know, showing up at the precinct, that's where we're going to elect, where you will elect your EC. That's your leadership for your precinct. Those are those individuals that will go either monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly to their county EC committee meeting to vote on things and represent the precinct. So we want to make sure we have good people that are in that executive committeeman position. So that's why it's important, number one, to go to the precinct reorg, which is now in March. But why it's also important to go to your county convention is the fact that because a county convention as a delegate, that's where we elect your officers for your county. You really don't want to have a bunch of you don't want to be a lonely EC. So you want all your other precincts to be, you know, putting forward America First, MAGA agenda type ECs. So when you do have those monthly or bi-monthly meetings, you've got friends there to support any types of votes. But you also want to make sure you've got leadership that is going to support what you're trying to do. So if you don't go as a delegate and you're an EC or whatnot, you're going to be kind of lonely if your officers for your county party or Rhino establishment, but you're pushing an America First or MAGA agenda. So it's really important to, as I ask people, at a bare minimum, go to your precinct reorg, which doesn't cost anything, and then be a delegate to your county, because that's where the rubber really meets the road, making sure we can get enough people to the county convention to elect your officers for the county. Now, yes, Presley took the next step there. It will be a state convention in May. That will be where we elect a state chairman and state officers for the entire state. That's obviously important as well, but that's a much more limited number of people that go. There's only 870 for the entire state. For us here in Greenville, being the biggest, we've only got 79 delegates. I can assure you we've got 79 people that are willing to step up and take us Saturday and drive down to Columbia. So we've got folks, and I encourage you to do it. And even if you're an alternate, or even if you want to just come and kind of view what goes on at the state convention in May, it's an experience. You know, bring the kids, whatnot, and kind of enjoy that experience. But it's critically important we turn out as many people as possible to at least your precinct and to the county convention in April.
Well,
Presley, I hope that answered,
yeah, Jeff, that's good. Go ahead and take over with the agenda and what you've got planned, and then we'll chime in periodically.
Okay, James, if you can go to the next page. What we're going to talk about today, most of you already heard the basic pitch of why this is important. Let's actually start talking about what's going to start happening at your actual precinct reorg meetings. So what we'll talk about tonight, we're going to have what a sample agenda might be for your reorg meeting. It's real simple, pledge allegiance, go through that kind of process. That's what your reorg meeting is going to be about. what are some sample packet information that'll be in there, and also most importantly, what Form 1 and Form 2 look like. Form 1 and Form 2 is where it's just where the party gathers your information, and then Form 2, where you're actually showing who you voted for or whatnot. And then Presley's put together a precinct reorg checklist for us, and then there's a guidelines for conducting precinct elections, just some basic information. We'll have this PowerPoint up online as well. We'll put that under the tools page. But also a lot of this is in the, to give the party credit, they didn't get it out to people soon enough, and it's kind of late. But they've got a whole reorg guide. So check that out, read through it. I find it quite interesting. I'm a process and procedure guy, but we've got that under our tools page as well. James, hit the next page. Next. Okay, it's a little hard to see. I don't know if we can expand but I can. I've got a copy here on my desktop. But what this is a sample agenda this is from 2019 here in Greenville about what really goes on at these meetings. So if you look at the very first thing, it's a call to order, welcome. In this case, it happened to be a joint meeting for a whole bunch of precincts. You may have a call to order, where it's just a general, if you're doing a reorg, which is just your precinct alone, somebody has to start the meeting. So, call to order, welcome. Then you do an invocation, a pledge.
Excuse me, Jeff. Can I just ask a question?
Yes, sir.
And I'm looking for guidance in this. My wife and I are spearheading many precinct reorgs. Okay, so we're probably going to be dealing with 6 or 8 different precincts. I was thinking, and I'm trying to hold all the reorgs here at my house with, wine and dine everybody, give them a little bit of, rub on the back of the neck to keep them moving. Now, do you find it successful having several precincts together doing a reorg? Or I was thinking of having 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, or 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, something like that. What do you find successful?
Every county's doing it different. Greenville's 151 precincts, so we're really spread out. But they're all on the same day at the same time. Some are doing individually. Some are doing 4 or 5 together remotely. Some are doing 15 or 20. The party is kind of running, so it's a hybrid method.
Okay.
You just have to figure out what works best for your county. The one caution, and have heard, it used to be illegal that you had to have that reorg meeting in a public location as opposed to a private home, but there's some technicalities where a lot of that got cut out of the code, out of the law. So it may be legal to do it, so it's not illegal anymore. But it's still often recommended that you do it in a public location. So, but that is up to your county. Your county leadership makes that decision, and we just kind of go with the flow from that perspective. But each county does it differently. Anderson County is doing, I think they're doing theirs. They started tonight. They've got one Thursday. I think they have either 5 or 6 scheduled on different nights based on house reps. So they've got a different methodology. So it just depends on what your county is. That's why it's important to figure out when your county does it, how they do it, and just show up. Decisions are made by people who show up. So we need as many people to show up at the reorg and become a delegate to your county conventions, so you can vote for.
And Jeff, if I may interject here, I would ditto. I would be very hesitant to hold it in a private home.
No, I'm talking about precincts, holding the precinct meeting.
That's what we're talking about.
That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. Like you said, it used to be illegal. Now, my precinct, we're meeting at a restaurant, and we're all going Dutch treat for those that want to show up to eat. And then at 6 and then at 7, we're doing our precinct meeting. If you are not the party chair or the party leader in your county, I would get with them because your precinct reorg location, as long as it gets the blessing of the party leadership, I think you're fine. But they could come back and declare that all of the votes at those precinct reorg meetings that you held in your home are invalid, that they would have to be done over again. I'm just warning you. So just check into that with your party chairman, and make sure that you're not doing something that you shouldn't be doing. I mean, it makes sense, but see, a lot of people have been shut out of precinct meetings at the last minute. They do all kind of dirty tricks. They say we're going to hold it at this church or the school. You get to the church or the school, and the doors are locked and the lights are out. And the chairwoman, Jeff, was at a situation where there was a chairwoman sitting in a parking lot over there in the back watching people come, and she just declared nobody showed up when people did show up. So there are all kind of crazy tricks that they try to do. But it needs to be public, and even at the last minute, check with your county executive committee to make sure they have not changed or moved your reorg your precinct location. That happens quite often. And so you think you're going to place A at 7 p.m.
I understand.
No,
I understand your intent
place B.
entirely.
Pardon?
Just let me say that all these meetings were publicly noticed on the GOP page. So it was access. I mean, it was just like advertised just the same as advertised in the newspaper. So there is no risk of anybody accusing collusion or anything,
Okay.
Listen, the truth of the matter is our GOP here, okay? We're trying to stimulate it. We're trying to bring people in.
Right.
We're trying to get them active. If I don't do what I'm doing, our county is going to die. And I'm not. What do you call it? I'm not overreacting.
Are you
I'm telling you. Yeah, Colin. Everybody is old. I'm 69, and I'm the youngster. Okay. If this GOP in Colleton County is to survive, we have to do what we're doing.
I understand that, but I'm looking on the SCGOP website, which is supposed to be the controlling, but in y'all's is scheduled for March 23rd from 5 to 7 p.m. That's a Tuesday at the activity room at the Colleton County Parks and Recreation Center.
That's correct.
The state party is saying where your reorg is going to be located.
That is the county reorg. I'm sorry, that's the precinct reorg. Yes,
that's for precincts.
We're prepping everybody, training everybody before they go.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah,
that's perfectly fine. Y'all can get together.
I mean, it's what you are doing here. We're doing on a smaller scale with the people in that individual precinct.
That's perfectly fine. What we thought you were talking about was the actual.
Oh, no.
Okay.
We'll be having the same precinct reorg as everybody else does. Only thing is we are training each individual precinct to, so, hey, listen, the first time I went to a precinct reorg, I didn't know any of the people. I didn't know what I was looking at. I just want people to be informed of what's going on. And that's what we're doing ahead of time.
No, smart, Frank. We misunderstood you. So, okay, we can move on from there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tina, you do have your hand up. So if you want to ask a quick question so we can get back.
Jeff? Paul
Yeah,
here.
I just wanted to say that I have two friends that live in Colleton County that might be willing to get involved. If I sent also a chat, if they want to give me a name or number, I'll send that to them.
That's what we're looking for, and I appreciate it. You can get in touch with me, or probably Is this going to be recorded? Is we going to have a
It is, but if you want to put your contact information in the
Yeah.
chat, Tina can
Yeah,
get
Okay.
it from there.
thank
Oh.
all right? Thank you.
Paul, do you have a quick question?
Yes, I attended the Precinct People's training session last evening here in Greenville online. I'm going to Thursday nights down at their offices. All right. Any questions you might have, I'll take down there. Now, there was a lot of talk last night. I mean, one of the things that I've run into is in order to come to a meeting, at least in Greenville, you have to have your Republican card, registration card with 8-9 numbers on it. If you don't have that, you don't get in the meeting. You also have a photo ID. Now, I don't know what the other counties are doing, but, and I didn't hear anything about what was brought up last week, Presley, with respect to number of, you have to have voted in so many. And I've got a copy of the rules. I haven't read them all yet, but any questions you might have, I'll take them down to Thursday night's meeting if you want.
Yeah, I'll be there too, Paul. So we'll be there together.
Oh, okay, great.
Great.
And quick question, gentlemen, where is the meeting on Thursday and at what time? And for Greenville County, sorry.
Yeah, they only let executive committee men and women and presidents attend. They
Got
will
it.
not let the public attend.
So how do you find out about who is even on this committee? Because I'm new. I just signed up yesterday. And I'm in the Stonehaven precinct.
Okay, Marianne, we are sending out information to Stonehaven right now.
Uh-huh.
Where?
I'd have to go look and see, but get with me on get me with me offline, and we'll connect you up with Stonehaven.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the issues we face here in Greenville, even though the comment was made earlier that Greenville is safe, but the establishment is pretty much in control here.
Yeah.
And they won't tell you. They won't tell us the name of the precinct officers. They won't tell us the number of delegates per precinct.
Yeah.
They won't give us any data. So that's why we're putting this website out there so people do at least have some information about the precinct reorg process. So,
Well, Jeff, when I go to that meeting, I'm going to pick up a new packet for this year's precinct meetings. So I will have that Thursday night.
yes, and Paul, you know as well, and what we've got as part of the presentation is some sample Form 1 and Form 2 that came out of the SCGOP. But if you guys want to know and understand what we deal with here in Greenville, they are literally going to number the forms, then they're going to watermark the forms, then they have a limited number of forms per precinct because they're pretending like we're the Democrats and we're going to steal the election. So they are literally going to watermark the forms. It is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, but that's what we deal with here in Greenville. So every county has its own challenges. You got them in Colleton, you got them in Horry County, we got them here in Greenville. Anderson's got it. So there is no single process and no single bit of answer. So Tina, you had your hand up one more time. We can real quick. So get back to the agenda. Tina? Maybe it was a leftover, but James, if you
It
can
was
pull
left
the
over. I didn't put it up.
okay.
Can I ask a question? I'm looking
Sure.
at your agenda here. A letter from the South Carolina GOP chairman. Who is that?
That currently is a gentleman by the name of Drew McKissick. This is just the formality of a basic agenda. Now, there's a letter. People may read it, or has been suggested. To some precincts, just make a copy and hand it to people so they can check the box. So it's a rah-rah session for some people to kind of keep their name out there. So and Drew McKissick is someone that I personally opposed to. I think he is the embodiment of Rhino establishment, and just just to give you one quick notification, I mean, he is a paid individual by the SCGOP, yet there's no disclosure of what his compensation is, but he is also a political consultant on the side. And there is no discussion or no disclosure in regards to what compensation he may receive outside for his political consulting outside of his job as chairman of the SCGOP. So if I'm a lawyer, tax attorney, CPA, if you want to talk about conflicts of interest, you hire somebody to do a job and then let them get paid to do that job on the outside, and nobody knows what's going on. So that's the type of problems we have here in South Carolina.
How do you get to be the South Carolina GOP chairman?
That's what this process is, to determine who our new chairman is. So first you decide who's going to be your precinct executive committeeman in March. Then you can progress up to be your county chairman. That's where you'll elect your county leadership in April. And then when we all go to the state convention, the delegates, that 870 delegates, 79 that come here from Greenville, 6 from Colleton or whatnot, and each county has its number of delegates that they can send to the state convention. That's where those 870 delegates will elect the chairman. That's why it's important that we get MAGA, America First people up there, because I can assure you, people like me are not voting for Drew McKissick, but people that are establishment rhinos, they're voting for Drew.
Hey, and Jeff, can you give your coordinates, please? Your email or phone number?
Well, if you actually email to the team because we're kind of managing that, I'll have Olga put in my contact in there if you like.
Perfect. So what is the group email then?
Yeah, team@myscgop.com.
Okay. Yeah. Great, thank you.
Okay, back to the agenda. This is just a sample of what a reorg meeting can be. Some of them are very formalistic. Some of them are very casual. Come on in. You got 5 people. Who wants to be the EC? Who wants to be the president? Okay, we'll make a decision. Do we all want to be? All 5 of us want to be delegates? Sure. Let's fill out form 1 and 2 and let's go home. So you could literally be in there for 15 minutes. Or some of them, if you've got a bunch of people that come, and I'd highly encourage you to bring as many friends as you can. Bring 30 if you can, and then make as many delegates. And, as the gentleman as Frank said from Colleton, make it, he's talking about the prep meetings, but make it fun. I mean, bring some cookies, enjoy it, say, hey, come back to my house afterwards and we'll cook some steaks or hamburgers or do it beforehand, whatever it takes to get people out. This is not a situation where it's like you can't buy votes. And I'm not saying buy votes, but you know what? You can actually, make it a fun kind of a neighborhood event and get some people to come out and participate and vote for you to be EC or y'all get behind who you want to represent your precinct. But this is just a standard. This is probably like the full kahuna of an agenda, which would be the call to order, the invocation, pledge. Somebody will read the Republican creed. If they, either hand out the letter from the SCGOP chairman, if they don't like him, or if they love him, they'll read it, talk about how great he is. Any kind of other announcements or explanation of what the reorg process might be, description of what the precinct officers' positions are, because some people have never been to these and never even been to a training like this. So they'll talk about what those officers are. We've got that slide coming up next. That will talk about what we just talked about, what the county and state convention might be about. Then they'll break out, and this particular one happened to be multiple together, but y'all, break out into your precincts if you're multiple precincts meeting in one location. And then there's confirmation of certified voters. That's making sure you are actually in the right place or have the right credentials. Sometimes it's called a credentialing committee, but to make sure you are actually authorized or a voter for your precinct. Now on our website, and I've got an image here in a second, but just to talk about this is important. Go to scvotes.org, and we've got a link on our website that takes you exactly to the place you need to go, and I'll show a screenshot of it. You'll put in your county, your date of birth, and your legal first name and last name, hit enter, and that will actually pull up your voter registration card. So it's not like you have to have that little piece of paper that people used to carry in their wallet. You can actually go to this SC Votes, and that's the South Carolina Election Commission website, and it's scvotes.org. Put in your information, and it will print up or pull up, and James is doing it for us right now. It will pull up your voter information. It will list what your precinct is. It will have your 9-digit voter registration number. But if you print that up, I recommend everybody do that. Do that tonight. Put it with your stuff you're going to take to your ReOrg and print it up. James just pulled it up for him. It's got his confirmation, his number, his voter registration, talks about what precinct he's located in. But you want to make sure, because they're going to check that there. They want to check that my precinct, the name of it's Timberlake. They're going to I'm going to have to bring and hand them that sheet of paper, or they're going to say, oh, well, you didn't bring the sheet of paper. Tell me your name and phone, your name and your date of birth. They'll put the information in and pull it up and make sure you're in the right location. So that's critically important. You really don't want to show up because here in Greenville, we have them all at the same time, show up at the wrong precinct and say, oh, you're supposed to be on the other side of town and you got no chance to get there. So, and you brought all your friends to the wrong precinct location. So go ahead and do that and make sure you're going to the right location. So that's the number 9, the confirmation of certified voters. And then they just go into the election of precinct officers. Now, I will tell you, I've spoken to some people that have already gone through their ReOrg, and they're making it somewhat confusing. And we've talked about this in all of our other presentations. But the number 1 position is executive committeeman. It's not president. It's not vice president. It's not secretary treasurer. It's the executive committeeman. Now, in some locations, you'll see that listed as a county committeeman, but it's the committeeman position. That is the person that actually votes. Now, if you haven't seen our video, you can go watch our video, and it's on the myscgop.com/videos. We've got I think it's about a 4-minute video that goes through this entire process. It's right there at the top. So we normally play that, but I think a lot of people have already seen it. But check some of those videos out on that page, and that will be some learning tools for you to kind of understand why it's important. But executive committeeman or person or woman, that's the person that votes. That's the person that represents your precinct. I actually had someone call us that they had theirs recently. It was 2 people showed up for their precinct. The husband, they elected themselves because it was only 2 people that showed up. Well, they elected themselves and they filled out the form that we'll show you next, the form 2, that they elected the husband to president and the wife to secretary. Like, who's the EC? I'm like, the EC is the important thing.
Hey, that's stereotypical right there, president and secretary.
Well, I mean, but if you look on the form, the committeeman position is like the last one. It's like at the bottom. So that gets confusing. So that's why we emphasize it. We try to pound the table, but just realize you want to make sure you're electing that executive committee position.
Jeff, have a question.
I have a question.
Yes.
In April.
Okay, go ahead.
And you already have officers.
Norma?
I can't hear.
Okay, we're not hearing
All right.
anything.
Here we go.
Okay.
Loud.
My question is, during the April, that's when you elect officers for your county.
Yes, ma'am.
If you want to nominate somebody to be the county executive committee man or woman, how does that process go?
That will be, at the convention, you can nominate people from the floor. So, if you wanted to nominate your husband or your husband wanted to nominate you, you just stand up, grab a microphone and say, I would like to nominate, John Doe as our executive committee person. But at the county convention, the positions you will elect is number 1, your chairman to represent your county. Number 2, your executive committee person that will go to the state. So there's 46 county executive committee people. So here in Greenville, we have 151 precincts. I might be the executive committeeman for my precinct. So 151 of us come together for our county meetings. And then we at the county convention, we will elect that one executive committee person to represent our county. So Greenville has one EC to the county. Colleton has one EC to the state. Colleton has as many votes as Greenville does on the state executive committee meeting.
And you have to have the votes from the county to make it EC, because the establishment has their votes and they keep electing the same people over and over. So you have to go out and campaign and bring your votes with you. And that's why it's so important to build your precincts.
You're spot on, and that's why you have to bring to your precinct. Because if your precinct, even if you and your best friend or your next door neighbor, y'all are the only two planning on going, y'all are only going to be, if you're the only two that go, you're the only two that could be delegates to the county convention. But if you make it a fun event, and you bring a bunch of other people and say, hey, come here.
Vote for me.
And we're going to delegate.
Now
you need as many delegates as you can to go to the county convention.
Now the pieces coming together why I'm doing these preps.
I fully understand, and I know Colleton County well. So
thank you.
So, but after you elect the precinct officers, you should start with the executive committeeman position, but sometimes they'll try to switch it up on you to confuse you and say, let's elect the president and let's elect the vice president. And then we got this committeeman position last. And you'll see on the form, it's kind of interesting, and it's, president sounds like it's the most important thing, but it's not. Focus on that EC.
Yeah, for us in Colleton, it's president and secretary. That's the only two you have to vote for or to assign.
Well, for some reason, I think you need to,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they might tell you that, but the rules all talk about the executive committeeman is the person. So don't, insist upon that. Call, if you got to, clarify that with your current county chairman. But everything we see in the rules and everything we've heard anywhere else is the executive committeeman. But they are, I think, almost on purpose making it confusing. And but the executive committeeman, you could be the EC and the president if y'all don't have enough positions. So one person could be the executive committeeman and the precinct president.
Oh, so, that's very interesting. I mean,
if you don't have enough people to fill the position.
But if you carry the votes, you can be both.
If you don't have enough people to fill those other positions. That's my understanding of the rules, and that's what I've seen in other places. Because we have, and even Mr. Gorski here, I think he was the only person that showed up at his precinct 2 years ago. So he elected himself, obviously EC and president, and he has all the titles behind his name. So he had all the votes because he was the only one there. So, but you need to make sure you're getting that executive committeeman position filled. And you'll see it on the forms here in a second. The next thing, after you elect the officers, number 11 there, is the election of the delegates and the alternates to the county convention. I will tell you 99.99 times out of 100, you're going to have more positions for delegates to the county convention than you have people there. So I think in my precinct, there's 30 some odd delegate positions. The first time I went 4 years ago, we had 5 people that showed up. So we had 5 delegates. Everyone was elected as a delegate. It's if you wanted to be a delegate, you can go. And that's pretty much the way it is, 99.9% of the time. You could have a situation where you end up having more people that want to be delegates to the county, and those additional people would become alternates. And it's a voting process. It's a simple process of who has the most votes. So when you do vote, and if you're over the potential limit, make sure you only vote for the people that you trust as MAGA America First folks. So So the other ones may get in, but if you're over the limit, you'd much rather the establishment folks to be alternates and the MAGA folks to be actual delegates. But I doubt you'll find that situation. But you really, again, I can't emphasize enough, you want to take as many people as you can as delegates. Now, your county may charge you for that. Here in Greenville, to be a county delegate, you have to pay, it's a $20 fee. There's no cost to do the precinct. So if you just need to have some friends that, you know, bring them to vote for you to become the executive committeeman or committee person. But, you know, if you want to take them to the convention, it's $20 here in Greenville. That's just to cover the cost. We have to rent the TD Center, the Greenville Convention Center. So it's a bit of a cost there. So that's why they charge people for that. Other counties may be free. They may be $5. I don't really know, but Greenville, each county is a little bit different. So be prepared for that cost. And there's nothing wrong with, if you want to pay for a friend's cost. I mean, you know, we've got some people that, we've raised some extra donations here in Greenville for people that wanted wanted to be a delegate but didn't have the $20, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can do that, because this is not like electing your state senator or house rep, and you can't do certain things. But this is a tad bit different. Now, item number 12, after you've elected, obviously, the precinct officers and elected the delegates, you complete the Form 1s, pay the fees if required, and then the Form 2, and then, if there's any other, number 13 is if there's any other business. You'll have some people that I think it's a rare situation. You can submit resolutions that you want your precinct to vote on. Our particular issue or cause is a school choice for K through 12 children with special needs. If I wanted to put up a resolution to bolster that program or to support that program, I would put up a resolution, ask my fellow delegates or fellow members of the precinct to vote on it, and that would get sent up to the county level. So that's a tad bit more, I think, on a rare situation. What we're doing here in Greenville, assuming that if you're on the outs, if you're part of the opposition, the establishment's not going to throw your resolutions in the circular bin anyhow. So we're just focusing on making sure we get as many people out so we can push out the rhino establishment, and then we'll be able to work on all the different resolutions and the things we want to do at the county level, and then hopefully at the state level in May. But because what we have seen is the establishment likes the status quo. They don't like to do anything. If you look on the state GOP website, there's actually somewhere on there where they listed the past resolutions. There hasn't been one since 2017. So I don't think they're real interested in doing anything. So there aren't a lot of resolutions. No, we don't really conduct a lot of business here. So that's what business from the floor is. And then number 14 is adjournment. So, that process could be as little as 15 minutes. It could stretch into an hour. I don't really hear too often that they've stretched on much longer than that. So,
can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
These people who are wanting to be elected and alternates, how do you know if they're MAGAs or not if you don't know them?
Well, that's that.
Do they talk about what they stand for or what?
The delegates, not as much. If you have a contested race for the executive committeeman, I would say, you could stand up and speak about what you believe. And then the person you're opposing would stand up and speak about what they believe. But that's why it's incumbent to kind of get out there now and go, talk to some neighbors, bring some neighbors and friends that you know who they are, and you've kind of pre-vetted them. We all seem to talk about politics, but nobody really wants to get involved. Say, you know what, I'm tired of talking to you. I'm tired of arguing and having discussions and kumbaya about why we're mad at Biden or mad at mask rules or mad at election integrity, but nobody does anything. So, you say, you know what, this is how you can do it. And how you can do it is come and vote for me, number one, to be executive committeeman. And number two, please be a delegate, come to the county convention so we can get rid of the people that are holding us back.
Right.
And pushing that rhino establishment agenda. So, it is, you're going to have to, there'll be some that slip through and, that you may not know, but you know, if you bring as many people and if you vetted some folks and talked to them, you know, that's what it takes. And like I said, there's going to be a few that get through. My story is I first learned about this 4 years ago. I went to the first one 4 years ago. My executive committee person wasn't even there. There was 5 of us that showed up. She wasn't even there. And one of the people just told us, oh, well, we're supposed to vote for her because she's been doing this forever. And, you know, she's kind of the right person to kind of lead our precinct. I voted for her.
You just stumbled on something that's very important, because we just discovered this recently, that to be voted upon, you do not have to be present, but you must be present to vote.
That's correct. Yes. You do not. She could not vote for herself because she wasn't there, but the rest of us voted her in, which, you know, that was, don't make mistakes I've made. So there is no.
And I promise this is the last time I'll interrupt you. Does everybody have my Colton County contact info?
No.
Because there was some interest about Colton County.
Oh, somebody said they had a friend. Or
Yeah.
yeah, know who that is.
As long as you have my contact info.
What is that? Because I'd like to give it to my friend. I sent her the information, but she was hesitant to join the Zoom meeting.
Should I put it in this chat here?
Yes. If you put it in the chat, everyone will have.
Can you mark who you are so I know? Because I did see a number earlier, but I wasn't sure that was you.
All right. I certainly will do it right now. All right. And Jeff, I won't bother you anymore.
Well, I'm coming to visit Colleton because I have some family property over in Green Pond that I want to look at. So I'll have to look you up when I'm down there, Frank.
Well, you're more than welcome. Yeah, we have a good old time here.
Yes, sir. I've got some other friends from school down there. So that's kind of the lay of the land of what the meeting would encompass. Now, on the next page, we've kind of, you know, we put the description of the precinct officers, what the president does, and this is actually out of the GOP guide. So then we have that on that page on the isdgop.com.
Notice the position they have first.
Absolutely. Confuse it. Why would you put president first? I have no earthly idea, because they don't have a vote at the county. You know, all the president really does is set them, you know, actually they arrange, you know, generally just arrange the next year reorg. So our president of our precinct is is the person managing, you know, the reorg and where the location will be and all that. But the number one vote or number one position you want is that county executive committee position. So, you know, when you fill out the forms, there's a place, and when we get to the forms here in a second, you know, where the secretary signs and the treasurer signs. Like here in Greenville, you got to collect the $20 for people who want to be county delegates. So, you know, somebody has to kind of reconcile that up and be responsible for it. But those are the positions. There's some sample parliamentary procedures. If there's a contested election, that's one thing where you may actually, if it's a contested election, the chairman, you may elect a temporary chairman who's not running for that position. So, because you really don't want the chairman managing the meeting or the executive committee person managing the meeting when they're the ones, you know, deciding who votes and when they vote and all that type of stuff. So y'all may, if it's contested, if the current EC is there and somebody's running against that current EC, y'all can set up a temporary chairman or temporary president to kind of manage the meeting while y'all both campaign, or in the sense of, oh, this person gives their presentation, you give your presentation, and then the temporary chairman or temporary executive committee or temporary chairman, I guess, temporary president, they would manage the meeting as opposed to the two people that are running for those positions. So there's some terminology there, but all of this is in that bigger SCGOP guideline book. It's really a lot of good information. So I would highly encourage you to look at that. Now on the next page, James, these are the two forms. These are also in that SCGOP guidebook, but these are the two forms. Form 1 is it's just your information. It's you know, it's kind of, you know, think of that as your application or you know, to be a member to the Republican Party. It's not really an application. It's just kind of how they gather the data. So this is all going to be gathered, sent back to your county. They'll either key it in there at the county or they'll send it up to Columbia for interns so they can put this into their database and they know who showed up at the ReOrg. So, you know, essentially it's just filling out your voter registration number, which is again on that form from scvotes.gov, first name, last name, your address. This has congressional district on there. You know, why they asked that, I don't know. Email, address, and your phone number, home phone number. And then there's a couple check boxes. You know, you check the box that I attended my precinct meeting. You check the box that I was elected as a delegate to the county convention, so they can start tracking who were delegates and who were not delegates. Or if, you know, the next check box would be an alternate. And then this fourth check box is I was elected to one of the following precinct officers' positions. Now that's where people get confused, because the county committeeman, and they call it county committeeman in this situation. So it's called executive committeeman in other locations, but here they call it county committeeman. It's to the far right. So naturally, I think president, you know, I want to check the box as president. But look for that county committeeman position. So this is just another one of those examples. And now they do have a possibility to if you did not attend the precinct meeting. So if you didn't attend, so you get no vote, but you could have been elected as a delegate to the county convention there. So that's some party rules. I will tell you, Greenville, as my understanding is, they said you have to attend, and you have to use their form and their watermark form, and you have to sign it in actual blue ink or whatnot. So, you know, Greenville being the biggest in the state, we're about 9.75% of the population. So they like to do things a little bit different, and they like to keep Greenville in the establishment hands because it's kind of the crown jewel county of the state. So that's why we're working really hard. I know, you know, Frank's down there in Colleton trying to pull some people together, but brother, you ain't seen nothing till you see what goes on up here. I mean, I know it's there, but it's tough here too. And on the second sheet, this form 2, that's where you'll fill out, or the current precinct secretary, president will sign off on who was actually elected. Again, strangely enough, president is at the top, and it works down to the last one is the committeeman. And then you fill in the names of people that were elected delegates. So generally, all counties have just these two forms, Form 1 and Form 2. Form 1 being your individual information, which they'll collect and put into their database, lets them know your contact information and what positions you were elected to, and then there'll be this one summary page that they will take back to the county headquarters, you know, so they can kind of put all that information together. But what I would tell you again, because at least here, as it works here in Greenville, the newly elected people do not take office until after the county convention. So the people that will sign these forms and the people that will take these forms back to the county are the current EC, president, secretary, treasurer. That's who completes these forms. If you have those people. Some people are brand new and they're just, you know, there's nobody at your precinct and y'all are just starting from scratch and you just handle it all. But if you've got those positions, the current people, and certainly if you've defeated them, technically they are the ones that will fill all this stuff out, sign it, and take it back to your county. I highly recommend taking a picture of these documents. Things get lost, names get added, names get deleted. You know, I hate it, but for some reason, you know, for a lot of these people, their political position is their social stature in the community, and that's their social everything is. Now, I'm more interested in saving our country than going to a Christmas party, but that's what these people are about. So they could add. I mean, you know, if you got that Form 2, they could add some names of some delegates there. What's going to happen if, you know, you are at your meeting and y'all elected 10 delegates, but then when you get to your county convention, you find out that your precinct sent 30 delegates, and you're like now outnumbered. And all of a sudden, the establishment who maintained all these documents, you know, I would like to hope these things don't happen, and I hope it doesn't happen to you. But you definitely want to take a picture with your phone of all these documents, just so you have it for your records. Next page. Bob asked a question about who gets to vote at the county convention. I think Olga's asking me that so I can further reemphasize the people that vote at the county convention are the delegates. Mm-hmm. Delegates are the only people that vote. So that's why it's important, because what are they voting on? They're voting on who's going to be your county chairman, who's going to be your county EC, and who's going to be your county first vice chairman. So those are the people it's those delegates that vote. So you got to make sure you bring as many delegates as possible. What was the second half? When do you raise resolutions? I haven't focused a great deal on that, Bob. I do know that people can submit resolutions to their precinct, and it gets moved up the chain of command there. And if I'm not mistaken, I assume maybe people can raise resolutions from the floor of the county committee. I'm not an expert on that piece, because what I'm trying to focus on is just pack these conventions, pack these precincts with as many MAGA, America First folks as we can. And friends, let me just tell you, it's not just, we got to win, 51-49. They know the rules, they know the process, they know the procedure. We've done Robert's rules, we've done some training on that and some introductions into that. They will play these rules against you. So you literally need to think about this, is we need to overwhelm them 75-25. You need to be 3 times as many people there on your side, all wearing red or a Trump hat or whatever is coordinating, because even, as Judge Chumley said last week, the chairman is the person that interprets, different motions. So if a motion is made and it's a voice vote, he or she is the person who actually determines whether the voice vote goes this way or that way. So there's different types of things you can do, but you want to make sure you're overwhelming them in the large numbers. Yes, Frank.
What is this about? You have to have voted in the last primary in order to be a delegate?
There is a 2-part rule about being a member. And part of that is, obviously you have to be a registered voter and live in the precinct. So that's where you print out that scvotes.org. And I don't have the rule off the top of my head. I think it's 4C3 or whatnot. But the state determines, because we don't have registration by party here. So they have to come up with some sort of mechanism to figure out whether you're a Republican or Democrat. Because, if the Democrats were smart, they'd flood our ReOrg. In reality, if you think some of the establishment is kind of Democrat, that's almost what they've done. They just don't. That's why we call them rhinos, Republicans in name only. So they're really.
I think we've had people here like that, by the way.
Yes. So the party picks a election, a Republican primary. Usually it can be a presidential preference primary, but since in 2020 we didn't have one here in South Carolina to pick a Republican nominee, because Trump was the nominee. So the party has picked the June 2020 Republican primary, that if you voted in the Republican primary in June 2020, you are automatically qualified to be a Republican or a member of your precinct as a Republican. That's their test. Now, there's a lot of Democrats that voted in the June 2020 Republican primary, because they cross over into our primaries all the time. Or, especially if they don't have a Democrat to vote for. So they'll cross over and vote for the more leftist Republican. So that's the test number one, but it's an or. If you read the rule, it's an or you're elected to membership by the other members there. So if I'm a member because I voted, I'm already checked the box because I voted in the June 2020 primary, so I'm fine. And I know you, Frank, as a good Republican, but you missed it because you were out of state or you were sick or whatever it might be. I would then say, let's vote him in there. So the membership can kind of supplement, override that rule. Now, what I will tell you is what we've heard out of the Greenville GOP is that the SC GOP is going to waive that rule this year because this year they're encouraging everybody to come in. So and so we're being told that they're going to waive that rule so anyone can be a member even if you didn't vote in the 2020 and you're not clarified by the rest of you.
Because we disqualified somebody or discouraged them because they hadn't voted in the primary. But being what you've told us, we can now encourage them rather than discourage them.
No, please encourage everybody to come out. I'm not encouraging you to go get your Democratic friends to come out just so they can vote for you, but encourage everyone that you think's a good Republican.
I don't have any Democratic friends.
Olga's got.
Do you know or does anyone know who is supposed to be elected? What if it voted in different papers?
Olga just read me a big long question. Okay, from Lori Zapp sent it to us. Olga, do you know how or does anyone know if there are rules about how the county chairman is supposed to be elected? What if you find out the chairman is being voted on behind closed doors by a selected few? That's, again, it's going to be at your county convention in April. And we'll have some of these and we'll talk about some things and some tactics and techniques and things that go on. But this could happen at your precinct. And we have done some of these at the live training, I think two weeks ago, on Thursday, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. We gave that example that, here's the the 4 establishment people, and we had 10 MAGA folks, and we just did a practice one of these. And, and Presley was representing the establishment people. And so we're all asking and coming to our first meeting ever. And he's like, oh, well, we've already voted for leadership. So we'll just go on and we'll pick some delegates or something, but we've already voted behind closed doors or in a meeting earlier today. No, that is not how this works. Everything is supposed to be open and transparent. You have to be diligent and you have to be persistent in asking and getting what you want. If you have these certain questions in regards to what may, or if you had fears about, or get confirmation from your current county chairperson. If you've got, just get in, and I always encourage people, get it in writing. But these types of shenanigans should not be going on. They may try to force things on you. Say, oh, well, I've been EC for years, and I've already decided to be EC, and that's just the way it's going to be. Say no. We got the numbers. It's a vote, and it's the number of people that show up are the people. 1 vote per person. If you got more people, and you got your slate, your MAGA slate, or your drain the swamp slate, that's what that's who you're going to vote on and elect.
Jeff, if I may, a lot of times there are behind the scenes closed door meetings as to who their slate is going to be. But if any of you have any county GOP meeting going on where they're saying that they voted behind the scenes for the chairman, call them out on it. That is illegal. It must be an open public vote. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's a ballot vote. They will hand a ballot, and you will either write in or circle the name of the person that you're voting for. And then they will take those back with a credentials committee, You can have an observer from each side watching, and you will observe them counting the ballots. That is your right. So if anything is done behind closed doors and they come out and say, well, we already voted for so-and-so, I would object, call point of order, and get that changed, because that is highly illegal.
Yeah, and Presley uses that word illegal because, don't forget, I mean, this is a statutory process. This is in the South Carolina Code. This is, the parties have have benefits, and part of those benefits are the fact that, the state, puts their candidate in the Republican name, on the ballot, and they manage the ballot process, and they spend, lots of money on the election process. And to participate as a party, you have to follow certain statutory and legal rules. And some of those rules are, they have to reorg, go through a reorganization process every 2 years. So the party's not doing this because they want to. The party's doing this because they're required by law, and there's certain things that they can't do things behind the scenes. So that's what the law is. It is illegal, and don't it's supposed, it's transparent. Keep it transparent and insist on it and be persistent about it. If there's something that doesn't smell right, push the limit to it, contest it. Say you want to call the county parliamentarian, or you want the county chairman, call them up and get them to give an opinion about what's going on. I think one of the examples was, a precinct that said, the person there said, oh, you have to bring your original voter registration card. Nobody brings, I don't know where mine is. I've got a scanned copy of it, and I can go to scvotes.org and print it out. But a couple of years ago, somebody said, you know what? You can't participate in ReOrg unless you've got that little card, the original one, out of your wallet that they sent you X number of years or decades ago. Mm-hmm. That's not the legal requirement. So that is somebody that was doing something that wasn't proper. Mm-hmm. Somebody at that precinct should have insisted, or I'm sure they did insist, that, oh, we need to call the chairman and get a ruling and an answer on this right away. Don't just say, well, okay, I won't be a delegate because I didn't bring my original card. So don't mess with any of those. Don't fool with any of those shenanigans. And if you want to find out the rules, have them call, and get the contact information for your party chairman, and maybe even call them and introduce beforehand and get their cell phone number so you can call them if you think there's going to be some problems. So the next thing, and Presley, if you want to. This was your checklist. Some people, if you want to hit this real quick.
Okay, let me pull it up on my screen because I can't see that. A little too small.
James, I don't know if you could zoom in on the first one and work down.
Check my checklist here.
Here it is.
Yeah, we only have one thing.
Let's see, do you have it up? Yeah, okay, so, please, we're fighting for the future of our country. It really is that serious. And as Jeff said, he and Olga have done a yeoman's job on putting this myscgop.com site together. We keep adding to it, and it's become a very robust site. Take 30, 40 minutes and go through it and just familiarize yourself with everything. But, as Jeff said earlier, half of the victory is just showing up. And so when you show up at your precinct meeting, make sure you've got 10, 20, 30 other MAGA agenda, America First delegates going with you. Make sure that beforehand, you call all of these people. You call all your friends. Hey, are you still on for the precinct reorg meeting? I just want to make sure you're going to be there. I need you there. Obviously, emergencies happen, they get sick, one of the children gets sick or whatever, but connect with your fellow MAGA delegates. I even suggest, depending on when your precinct reorg meeting is, an hour and a half or so before the meeting, get together, go have a cup of coffee somewhere, go have breakfast or have an early dinner, depending on when your meeting is. Get to know them and know going in that, hey, we're going to vote for Jeff as chairman and Presley is going to be the EC. Or vice versa, it doesn't matter. and we're going to stick to our guns. And it's a simple mathematical equation. He who has the most votes wins, period. And so we don't have anybody to blame but ourselves if we don't get people there. So I'm really wanting to encourage each and every one of you. I know it's a little out of your comfort zone to say to your neighbor, hey, I really would like you to come to this precinct reorg meeting. I'd like you to vote for me. Yeah, it's going to cost you $20, but this is the least we can do for our country. And if they're dirt poor and they just can't afford the $20, just give it to them. There's no rule that says you can't, or promise them that you'll take them to dinner later on. But anyway, so connect with these MAGA delegates. Make sure you take your driver's license, and as Jeff said, you can print off your voter ID from scvotes.org, or you can simply go in and pull it up on your phone. The key thing that they're looking for is there is a 9-digit voter ID number. That voter ID number you will print that on your delegate form 1. So if you go there, but those are the two things you have. Now, some of you move, okay? But technically, wherever your driver's license is, as far as the state is concerned, that is what the precinct you live in. So if you've moved, there's all kind of rules that kind of screw things up for you. So don't move before reorg. That's all I'll say. Okay. Make sure that they provide you the Form 1 and Form 2. Make sure when in doubt, don't. Make sure before you fill anything in that you correctly fill it in. They will try to disqualify you based on something not being filled in properly. Make sure you don't transpose your voter ID number, because they're going to say, oh, this number doesn't come up in the system, and this guy's out. When really all you did, instead of putting 112, you put 121. And it's something as simple as that. So really pay attention to detail on that form and fill it out completely. Okay, next, James. Number 5. Yeah, if you can make that a little larger for me. It's really tiny on my screen. Yeah. So yeah, there's a cost to this. I say this at every meeting because I believe it. Our founding fathers, when they were fighting the British, they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. And many of them died. Many of them died paupers. The least we can do here in Greenville County is going to cost us $35 to go to the county convention and then go on to have a chance to go to the state convention. Minimally, it's $20, okay? But when you show up, bring either cash or a check or two. We're hearing rumors that they're going to require one check for one thing and another check for something else. I don't think that's true. But a cash or check, and they will tell you, fill it in there. They will tell you who to make the check payable to, okay? You can fill out the delegate form perfectly, but if you do not attach cash for a check to it, it is not a legal delegate form. It's a pay to play. Credit cards are not accepted. They're not set up to take credit cards. So make sure you have either cash or a check. And I would also take a photo of your personal delegate form. Take a photo of your check right next to it, or take a photo of the cash that you sit right next to it. That is proof that in the event that you do not end up on that delegate list of the county convention, you can contest it and say, oh, wait a minute, I was there, I paid my money, and here it is. So make sure that you bring that money, okay? And as Jeff said, 2 years ago, we outsmarted them. We signed up a bunch of people. We just made copies of the forms. It got people to Jeff, that's why our chairman is doing what he's doing. They're paranoid. They will do anything to hold on to power. It's sickening. It really is sickening. But we'll play their games, and we're still going to beat them at their games. They just better have enough forms printed so that we can use those forms properly. But they will provide the paperwork. So what they're going to do, they're going to require all the new people to show up at the precinct reorg makeup meeting. Now, I'm only speaking to Greenville County. In other counties, it's probably a little more lax in our county, but we have a pretty diabolical leader over here, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So you'll sign that. And then, like I say, Jeff and Olga have done a great job. We pull all of that information off of the state GOP site as far as the county meetings and the reorg, precinct reorg meetings and the county conventions. It's up to date as of today. I know here in Greenville County, they still haven't, they've given us a date, but not a location yet. I know the state hasn't given us a date or a location yet. So we're still waiting to hear on some of those things. But also the day of your precinct or the night before, precinct locations are subject to change for whatever reason. So check, a couple hours before you go, make sure they haven't changed your location. And like Jeff said, you don't want to hear that your precinct reorg meeting was supposed to be held at the northern end of the county, and all of a sudden they say, no, you got to drive to the central location of the county. So, because you get there too late and then you won't be able to vote. So those are some of the other little tricks that they can pull on you. So just make sure, when you're going to have that meeting. I think that's it, Jeff, on that.
Perfect, thanks.
Can I ask a question that other people might be wondering also?
Sure.
For the precinct meeting, could we have two lists, and could those people vote for our EC, for the EC we want to vote for? Some people that are willing to be delegates and pay the money, and those that just want to vote for the EC, for the numbers, but don't want to be a delegate.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can have that.
Because I think we're thinking that we could get a lot of people to just vote, come to the meeting and vote, but not obligate to be a delegate and pay the money. No,
really, Cora, you've got to obligate yourself to be a delegate and pay the money. Okay, that's what we really want. And like I say,
I know, but we're just trying to get our EC voted in.
Well, get your EC voted in, whatever it takes to get your EC voted in. Yes.
Yeah.
But then we also really need to get our chairman for the county elected too. And see, they're hurting us by just going and voting for the EC only, because we really need their vote at the county convention. We really do. And a lot of people have made that mistake in the past. And you think you've got 200 people showing up, but if 50 of them decide, oh, I'm only going to the precinct meeting only, well, you just lost 25% of your vote. So, look, try to talk them into going to the county convention at a minimum. If they say, oh, look, I'll come vote for you and that's it, that's fine. Don't waste a lot of time with them. Let them show up and vote for you to get you elected. But it's a team effort, and it's beyond just getting you elected as EC. We've got to get our person elected as county chairman and the county EC as well.
Right.
And we can't do that if they just show up at precinct.
Right. And speaking of that, who's going to be on the ballot that we want to go against our?
We're going to be talking about that here coming up. Okay. I don't want to.
How do they get on a ballot? How do they get on a ballot?
I could show up at the meeting at the county convention and I say, I'd like to nominate Corey Anthony as chairwoman of the Republican Party. It's that simple.
Okay, so we would just go to the county convention and designate who we want to be county chairman.
Yeah, but we've got a strategy we're working on, and I don't want to discuss it online here.
Okay.
But we'll talk about it in person.
All right, very good.
Cora's from Greenville, so that's more of a Greenville question. But we're going to be as organized for.
But I'm sure it applies to all counties. If they have Rhino county chairmen, they want to know how to get them out.
Right.
Sure.
You're figuring out, number one, how to get them out of your precinct, which is organizing and having a slate and walking in there and all voting for the same people, agreeing beforehand, and the same thing will be at your county convention and at the state. So we'll take it all that way. So that's the process. So that's the checklist. The big ones are making sure you print out that scvotes.org, bring your voter ID, and bring some cash. What I do personally, I bring some extra cash for other people that may have forgotten something or whatnot, or if I can talk them into, as Cor said, they didn't want to be a delegate, but if I can talk them into being a delegate, because, as Preston mentioned as well, it's critically important. You really don't want to leave those rhinos in charge of your county party. It's nice that you take over and you can represent your precinct up at the county meetings, but you're not going to get anything done if the rhinos are in charge and they're the officers of the party. I ran into a neighbor of mine today. He has not participated in ReOrg since the 90s, as he said he got frustrated at going because he would show up and go to some of the county meetings and everything was predetermined, and not in a good way. I mean, he was wanting to push conservative agendas back then, but they are organized. They use the rules against us. And they're like politicians in the sense that they like the status quo. They don't want people rocking the boat too much. They don't want people causing issues or problems. So they quash everybody that has a question. And I assured this gentleman that if he participated and got involved, his voice would be heard, because that's my frustration. Why am I doing this? It's not because I want to do this. It's 9:27 on a Tuesday night. I'd like to be in bed binge watching something on TV or anything other than this, because I think that's kind of the human nature of conservatives. We just really want to be left alone. But I've got to get involved because I care about K through 12 children with special needs and school choice. Yeah. And I can't get we're not going to get that through. And you think it's the teachers unions or the association or the public schools that are our biggest problem. It's the Republican Party. It is the establishment rhinos. That who is the problem with school choice in this state. Why do we literally, I'll point of personal privilege since I'm conducting this, have the worst rated school choice program in the nation. Yeah. It is failing our most vulnerable children, special needs children, and Republican legislators, some of them are friends of mine, know it, and they're not doing anything about it. And I want to get organized from a Republican Party perspective. So me and my 10 fellow precinct members underneath my House rep can call him to task, and the 10 under you, you and some of yours can call your legislators to task. But the party doesn't want to do that. They don't want to call these legislators to task. And if you've seen some of our earlier presentations, and we've got it on that video page, we have two at the time sitting legislators back last November that endorsed Senator Vince Shaheen, a Democrat, right, for his race against Henry Gustafson, a Republican nominee for that same seat. So how do we have House reps, Republican House rep doing a video endorsement of Senator Vince Shaheen, and then a Republican sitting state senator doing a written endorsement in the Lancaster newspaper for Senator Vince Shaheen? Vince Shaheen ran for governor twice. He is one of the most powerful Republicans or Democrats in this state. Mm-hmm. And I hope we don't have any children here on the call. But I mean, Senator Vince Shaheen was the one that said we're going to show the whore the door, talking about Nikki Haley and how those guys, the Democrats, were going to beat her in one of those elections. And we've got Republicans that endorsed that man. Yeah. I was flat dumbfounded. And if you want to watch the video of Representative Richie Yao out of Lancaster County, it's on our site, because it's one of on the myscgop.com/videos. And I know we were donors to Henry Gustafson. We know her. We've known her for years. She was running against Senator Shaheen. He probably spent $300 and some odd $1,000 to his, $30,000 or $40,000. But she worked her butt off, and thank goodness she beat him. And but it wasn't because the Republican Party helped her. Republican Party was happy to leave Senator Vince Shaheen in there so they could just keep doing business as usual. And I don't think anybody on this call, except for probably the spy or two on here, really wants business as usual, because I think the people of South Carolina certainly don't. But the next 2 pages, that's just some descriptions of forms in the packet, guidelines for conducting a meeting. If you really want to know what the current EC or president's going to be doing, guidelines for conducting precinct elections. All of these guidelines are in James, if you go to the next page, all of this information is in this SCGOP Precinct ReOrg Guide. This, and it's on there on the left. We've got that on our website. We were able to secure a copy of it. We've had it for 2 or 3 weeks. They were not going to release it until the 1st, but we were able to get a copy of it several weeks ago and put it on our website. So that's there for you to have. And take a look at that. I'm a process guy. All these questions you're asking, take an afternoon or an evening and, as the TV's playing in the background, read that stuff, and it'll answer a lot of your questions. I think one of the questions was, and here's the answer to one of them. One person may not hold more than one office unless there are fewer than 5 people present at the meeting. So there's 5 offices. So if you've only got 2 people showing up, those 2 people can hold all 5 of those positions. So that's just something to know. Well, my friends that talked to us earlier, it was husband and wife. They only took 2 of the positions. I'm like, fill out that you took all the positions. You can know that. Those are the tricks, because the establishment knows this information. At least they've put it in writing. We've got it, but we've got to educate ourselves on it. It's the easiest thing is to show up. You got to at least show up. But over time, we want to get as many people educated about this, and because they know the rules, and we want you guys to have at least access and know where the rules are to be able to do that. So go to our page, the myscgop.com/tools, and it's right up there at the top, that that 2021 Precinct Reorganization Guide, and there's a lot of other helpful stuff there. James, if you can go to the next page. And again, we emphasize this a lot, your delegate recruiting tools. We got several of them, but this is what you want to have filled out before you go into that meeting. You want to know who you're going to vote for to be your executive committeeman, who's going to fill the position of president, first vice president, secretary, treasurer. And then you want to list those 5 people as delegates, because, if you're going to be EC or one of those leadership positions in your precinct, you also want to be a delegate. And then you list all the other delegates on there. So try to get up to 30 and make it fun, and get all 30 of them there, but have that filled out, so you know what you're doing when you walk in there. Because I can assure you the other side knows what they're doing. What they do here in Greenville, certainly on the county level, the opposition or they have what they call the unity slate. So they walk into the county convention and they hand this out, who they're all voting for all those delegate positions to go to the state convention. And it's just, they don't really care about going to state convention. They just like to vote themselves to see who can get the most votes. And, we're trying to save America. We're not trying to popularity contest or whatnot, but you need to have that. That's what valuable tools that I think that's out there. But and the main thing is because it puts that executive committee name at the top, because that's the #1 position. So James,
and Jeff, real quick, this is Walt Horn. So going back to that other slide that you just had before there. So this is at your precinct meeting, right? So you're saying, like, if I'm precinct 16, we would have all these people, and all these slots would have people in our precinct, living in our precinct, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, got it.
So,
Walt, Presley here, if I may, that is an internal document that we use. It's nothing that you turn into the GOP. It's something that you use internally with all the MAGA agenda supporters.
Sure. Great. Okay, thank you.
One question Olga just said somebody had was, how do you find out the number of delegates your precinct can send? They'll tell you at the meeting. I've asked that simple question to Diane, here in Greenville, to Diane Mitchell 4 or 5 times. She refuses to answer because Ed Presley, I think, has asked as well. They won't tell us the number of delegates per precinct. We have 151 precincts. The number is calculated by it's a calculated number. There's a formula to that. They won't tell us because they think we'll use the data analytics to figure it out.
All right, it's 1 delegate per 25 voters, and when you get your packet, your precinct packet, there'll be a number on the outside of that packet with a circle. It's the predetermined number of delegates that you're going to have for your precinct.
Right. It's on the packet. They'll tell it to you or show it to you there. But I don't have access to the packet in my precinct, nor do we have access to it, with other precincts. So that's the rub there. Why would they not share that information? It's because they don't want us to have that information. So
Frank, but and Jeff, here's the good news. Nationwide, less than 50%, or maybe right at 50% of all these delegate slots are even filled. The average attendance at a precinct reorg meeting is only 4.6. Here in Greenville County, we've had 0 show up, 1 or 2 show up. The most we had show up at a precinct reorg meeting was 25 2 years ago. That was the most heavily attended. There were several that had, 10 to 15, but I promise you, if you show up with 60 people, that's a good problem to have, okay? Show up with 50 or 60 people, it'll be a good problem. But, in getting people there, don't stop. Just keep filling the slots.
Judy, you had a quick question?
I had a question. You were talking about the meetings, the precinct meetings, and I looked on the site, and there were like 28 precincts that had to be determined. Now, who determines that? Who determines where the precinct meeting is?
I assume you're here in Greenville, but that's the party. The
county.
Yeah, the county party.
The county party is determining where the precinct meeting is.
Right. Yeah.
We have a lot that
have to give us a location at some point.
Yeah, I just finished that yesterday.
Some precincts are not organized. Can you explain how to organize a precinct if it's not organized?
No.
Well, Bob, here in Greenville, they've made the call that all of these unorganized precincts are not going to be organized until the makeup meeting, which is in April. So we can't get any of those unorganized precincts organized so they can do a reorg.
What do they call that?
It's a delay technique. So
okay, in Charleston they were very nice, and they said if I agreed to call all of the hard Republicans, then I could have it. I do whatever I wanted.
That's great. That's the way it should be.
It should be.
Willing to do the work and stand up and organize a precinct. We ought to empower them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But in Greenville, they know we're coming after them, so they're doing everything they can to slow us down.
It's authorized by the state GO.
Frank, you're breaking up.
And how do you determine what is organized and what isn't? I mean, if they won't give you the information.
That's the problem. And I can tell you, Marianne, we have, go look at the York County GOP, their website. And I think we probably, if you look on our website, myscgop.com/York, lowercase, I think, on the York page, we've got links over to their GOP. They have organized all of their precincts into clusters so they can, get those people working together. Mm-hmm. They disclose who the ECs are for each one of those precincts on the website. Uh-huh. Information is readily available. I talked to one of the officers, current officers with the GOP in York, and he was dumbfounded that we couldn't even find that our GOP here wouldn't even tell us the off the EC's names of the current ECs, and they wouldn't tell us the number of delegates per precinct. So he was like, "Yeah, you got bigger problems than we got in York." So, it's sad, but we will mimic and take some of the best practices from across the state from transparency. And what if you follow the logic, the more they keep people out, the more they can keep control.
Yeah.
If we flood the precinct reorganization process, they can't control us. I'm not trying to control all of you. I don't know. I mean, it's impossible. But I want 1,000. I want 2,000. I want 10,000 people coming, because not because I can control 10,000 people, because I trust the citizens of this state are good conservatives and do the right stuff. The opposition wants to keep everybody out.
Yeah.
They want to keep it as small as possible. They'll tell you all day they want to grow the GOP, but they want to keep the leadership and the people involved in the party as small as possible because they can control them. Right. So that's just a check and balance that we just got to flood them out and just laugh in the process. So.
Jeff, I actually contacted Diane Mitchell to ask her who the precinct officers were in my new precinct. And she gave my name and contact number to the precinct officer, who executive committee man or president, it didn't matter. And then that person contacted me. That's the way you'll get it if they're willing to provide it. You ask the county secretary, Diane Mitchell, she contacts the officer of your precinct, and the precinct officer can decide whether or not to contact you.
Right, but the precinct officer could decide not to contact you.
Can't control that.
So,
Well,
Judy, did you have a question? Your hand was up on the screen. Maybe
yes, I have.
Go ahead.
I'm in Circle Creek, and I'm going to go for the top. I'm going to go for the EC. And my question is, and you just mentioned it, using rules against them. I did some research, and on their own in their own packet from Drew McKissick, it says on page 13 the description of the precinct officers, county executive committeemen. It says, quote, maintains contact and reports to the precinct members when appropriate. That's the first thing. And then the second is precinct reorganization meeting checklist, page 9. Number 3, contact current precinct members, neighbors, and other potential attendees, and inform them of the date, time, and location of the meeting. Now, if I walk in there and really this hasn't been done, can I say that? And can I kind of, if you want to say it, use it against them? You haven't contacted me. You haven't contacted other people in the precinct. So in essence, if this hasn't been done, then you haven't performed your duties as described.
You were working on your campaign speech, your reorg meeting. Now, hopefully you're giving that speech to 30 of your friends and 5 of the normal establishment people. So it'll be
trying
to give an easy election.
That is something that I can say in front of everybody, and hopefully that will kind of sway people in my favor. Would that be true?
That's correct, and that's I mean, obviously, be respectful, and you don't call names and all that kind of jazz. But absolutely, and say, you know what, we want fresh blood, we want new people. I mean, figure out what your presentation will be, and make your case that you are anxious to do stuff. Sitting, you've watched this country fall, and you're anxious to do something, and people need to make way for new blood. I mean, that should be the way it is. I think a good MAGA person is going to say, great, I've been carrying this weight for some time here. Will you come in and help?
Yes.
Take the lead, and I'll help you and train you and do all that type of stuff. But the establishment rhinos, and if you watch some, I mean, we've got the tape from the EC or the county meeting here last night. I mean, they're like, oh, we want you to come in, but we just don't want you to take our positions. So we want you to come in and pay your $20 fee, but don't go after my position. So no. We need to, I hate to say I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and there are some good folks that are working within the party. So we want to kind of try to preserve some of them if we can, but you know what, if they get swept out to sea with the rest of the trash, I think they'll be okay. I'll be okay if I get swept out with the trash. So come on, everybody, come on and join.
You go, Judy. You answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. This is that one page where you can find that the myscvotes.org. But I can only emphasize enough. Print this thing out, bring your ID, bring some cash, and bring as many of your friends and have a good time. But print that out. Go ahead and print that out tonight if you can. And James, if you can go to the next page. And I think we're at Q&A. So I think we've done a lot of Q&A. It's now an hour and 46 minutes. And I think Olga told me there was about 25 people on here 15 minutes before 8. So y'all were doing some Q&A amongst yourselves. But we've got tools. Go to the tools page. We got the call sheets. We got door knocking. We got these, we just got last week 10,000 more of those palm cards. So I think in the beginning, people were like, oh, I only want to take 2 or 3 or 5. I'm like, take a handful and go give them to all your neighbors. Olga's we've made a few shirts. We got bumper stickers, whatever tools we can provide you to sit there and make it as easy conversation as possible. What we want to be able to do. We've got the call list. And frankly, and if you're there last Thursday, we talked about it. On our call list, we have a column for hard lines or landlines, and we've got a column for cell phones. So if we have people's cell phones, you can text them. There's texting programs, and if you want to look into that, you can text. There's texting programs to load a bunch of numbers in there, and you probably get some political text. But you know what? Just and we've got some. I think it's up on Presley sent out an email, and if we don't have it yet, we'll put it on the website. But a texting script of what's a short text you can send to some of your neighbors in your precinct to say, hey, my name's Judy, I'm running for EC, we're doing precinct reorg next Tuesday, here's the website, you can go register, or give me a call, here's my phone number. Pick your own script, we'll have some samples, but text a few people, text some neighbors, go knock on some doors, look for, and I promise you the best one, other than somebody having a Trump sticker on their car, if they've got a flag in front of their house, because I remember when I first put an American flag in front of my house, I was angry about something. I said, kind of forget them. I'm going to go put a flag because I was so upset with something political. There's no Democrats that got upset about something and put a flag in their front yard, but conservatives do. So look for your neighbors that have flags. If you remember during the election season, if you saw people that had Trump signs, I talked to 2 neighbors that had Trump signs this past summer, and they were like, oh, you're the person that has that 2-term Trump sign in your front yard. So, they were excited about this whole process. And then obviously on social media, if you see people talking and complaining, say, stop complaining, get involved in your reorg, because this is not just going on here in Greenville. And as y'all know, y'all come from different places. This is across the state. And I don't know how the process works it's the same process, but I don't know the timelines and all that stuff in other states. We're working on South Carolina now. If I can take care of my precinct, my county, and my state, next, once we get that, then we'll start helping some of our neighboring states and across the country. Because we've had people reach out to us to say, what's a similar site and what are you doing in other states? And I'm like, we're just trying to save South Carolina, because South Carolina is an early primary state. And if we can save South Carolina, the next president of the United States in the 2024 will come through the state of South Carolina. We'll be the ones who determine it. So determined Trump, we've determined all of them the past X number of decades, except Newt Gingrich. We voted for Newt Gingrich in 2012, I guess it was. But any other questions?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Once you're elected, if you want to be a officer at your precinct, is there an official transfer of power as far as information you receive from the county?
Well, the new executive committee person, the new president, new secretary, the new that switches over, as I understand it, not the way we were told here in Greenville for sure. That switches at the county convention.
Okay.
So you won't be if you're elected EC, you're not officially the executive committee person until county convention.
Okay.
Which will be in April, so it's only a month away.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, if I may, I'll close it out here. We're going on 2 hours. James, did you get that? Would you want to go over this volunteer task thing first or not?
We can. I mean, we've got a lot of people offering to help do things. Some people writing scripts, ghost op-eds. If you want to, write an op-ed and put it into your local newspaper to say, hey, are you aware that Precinct ReOrg is coming up here in Greenville, and it's March 22nd, and anything of that nature. We're looking for people, obviously, with this project, and certainly for the next 2 weeks here in Greenville. We're kind of setting up, some different things to do some call banking. If you're comfortable with your precinct, and you want to help some people in some other precincts, we can try to connect you with other folks around. But if you want to get involved, I personally believe people want to get involved. And if you want to get involved, shoot us an email at that team@myscgop.com. If you just go to our website, the link is up there in the email. It's just a general email, and just send us an email and say, I want to get involved. And we've had some people we've got more involved as we don't want to overwork them, and we got some people we need to get some tasks to. But there's always stuff to do. This is a big battle. It's a battle for the future of the country. So if there's anything you want to do and you want to get involved, just let us know, and we'll find a place and help you out.
Okay. James, did you get that picture I sent you on my phone on the text or not? He did. If you could make that a little larger. And I've got it here on my phone where I can read it. But the president has created a PAC called Save America PAC. And this is the statement that he put out just a couple of days ago on March the 8th. And I know this is how he feels. And he said, no more money for rhinos. They do nothing but hurt the Republican Party and our great voting base. They will never lead us to greatness. Send your donation to Save America PAC at donaldjtrump.com. We will bring it all back stronger than ever before. He had to fight these rhinos every inch of the way in 2015, 2016 to get the nomination. Once he was elected, they fought him tooth and nail. We had 2 years of his presidency under a Republican House and a Republican Senate, and they fought him every inch of the way. We've got Republican Party officials who are fighting you and fighting me every inch of the way, all because they want to keep a hold of their power and their control. They don't care about making America great. They don't care about saving America. Mm-hmm. And so I put this up to give you encouragement that our president is behind us. He has said he wants MAGA people to go out and to take over their precincts, to take over the Republican parties, to take over the state GOP. And that's what we're doing. So I just want to say on behalf of Jeff and Olga and all of us, excuse me, thank you all. I mean, here we are 2 hours into this thing, and we've only had 6 people drop off the entire call, Jeff, the entire time. That's quite amazing. We're hungry, and we're committed. And so thank you all for your commitment. Wherever you are in the state, give it your best. We're working 24/7 almost here doing things, and we appreciate the efforts that you're putting forth. And let's go out and have some fun with this thing too. with that, Jeff, I'm going to sign off and hand it back to you.
Well, thanks everyone for what you're doing. It's been an amazing ride for us. I've only been involved in this, as I said, 4 years. I learned about it 4 years ago, and everybody out on this call has a cause. Mine happens to be school choice. Yours may be Second Amendment, election integrity, or just a blanket save our country. But this is the way to do it. You got to get involved, and you got to get a few friends to come out and support you becoming an executive committeeman or committee person. Mm-hmm. So this is where the rubber meets the road, and it can be a lot of fun. So have fun. I mean, we got them scared. They're really upset. They're spreading all kinds of rumors. You'd be shocked at the rumors that we hear, and they come back to us. And but just get out there and take some of these tools and have a good time, and know that you're doing the right thing. And Donald Trump made a lot of mistakes. He made some mistakes over time. He definitely was on the right track, and he talked about the swamp. I don't think he knew how bad the swamp was. But it's not just in DC. That swamp is right here locally. Yeah. The city, everybody, city of Greenville went blue 2 years ago. Yeah. You don't hear a peep out of the Greenville Republican Party. They don't even talk about it. They don't have a plan about it. I was texting or messaging with a current EC right now or earlier today, and I'm like, what's the plan? Are y'all coming up with a plan? Did they even discuss it? We lost the first district down there in Charleston for 2 years, 2.5 years ago, I guess, and to Joe Cunningham. I guess they got it back with Nancy Mace, but we should we did a great job because we won back the first district. You should have never lost it in the first place. So that's what we believe. We got to keep fighting. We got a lot of people moving into the state of South Carolina, and the GOP people we talk to say, well, it's just demographics. There's nothing we can do. That is absolutely not true. There are a lot of people moving here from the north or the west, and they're looking for a home. They're thinking this is a safe conservative place, and they're a little surprised when they get here. And then a lot that want to bring their politics, we just need to educate them. And we need to make a fighting effort out of it, as opposed to just say, well, it's demographics. There's nothing we can do. So we're pushing hard, and I know you guys are, and you're anxious to do it, and appreciate all you're doing. And anything we can do to help, we're here to do. So
the only thing we got to do is find a candidate to stand up against James Clyburn. I mean, how the hell you think I feel? That's my Congress.
No, I mean, it reached in.
The good thing is, though, I save a lot of ink because, I don't, what do you call it? I don't send them any notes, so because it falls on deaf ears. So. I understand. But listen, it's very refreshing. You folks, I'm glad you found me, or I found you, but because sometimes if you're MAGA, you feel like you're out in the desert by yourself,
No.
It's good to have the company.
Yeah.
We're 75 to 80 million strong in this country. We're not.
Yeah, I would say it was more like 100 to 150.
There you go.
I friended you, Jeff Davis. Friend me back, so if I need some guidance, I can. What do you call it? I can lean on you.
I put my phone number out there, so you text me, call me anytime.
Hey, Jeff, do you have time for one more quick question?
Yes, sir. Please.
Forget what's written there. I'm Roger. So I'm thinking about doing something like this, like the executive committee position. I'm up north right now, and I've actually just gotten back to the U.S. after many, many years. But I'm a registered voter. I'm in the North Myrtle Beach, district precinct. I think it's like Ocean Drive 2. And I just found out looking on your site that the precinct meeting is like 2 days away. So I might have to move heaven and earth, but maybe if there's somebody else on the call from the North Myrtle Beach area, or if you know anything that's going on to kind of combine efforts, that would be helpful.
Hey, Roger, this is Presley. We've got a contact for you there. If you can give me your name or number, type it in the box here. I'll look at it real quick and get it before we go.
Okay.
And I'll call you.
The county is very active, so there's a lot of people in Horry County that are doing stuff. so we can get you to the right people.
Okay, cool. Thanks, appreciate it. Hey, listen, good stuff. Thanks. A lot of the mysteries are a little more clear now.
Like I said, I knew nothing about this until 4 years ago, and I was a college Republican, and I've always voted red. So I'm like, why are they hiding this? I want everybody to know. I want 5,000, 10,000 pages just flooding this thing, and we'll be fine. So,
have a good night, folks.
Okay, good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Roger, James, don't leave until he can type his number in here for me.
Yep, I'm putting it in right now.
Okay.
I'll put my email, and obviously I'm part of the the email chain for this meeting.
Okay. If you've as long as you've registered and have your precinct in there, and if you don't hear from us or something, just shoot an email. We'll get back to you.
Okay. Okay.
Jeff, you can send him Chad's info then.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll just put my email in right now.
Let me see, where am I? I gotta get out of this. There it is.
Well, did it not go, Roger?
Nah, it's incredibly difficult to type when the phone's turned like this.
Okay, hey, just give it to me verbally real quick.
Hang on, I'm almost finished.
Okay.
Cool, there it is.
Okay.
I will tell you, Roger, y'all got some special issues there in Horry County, though.
Tell me.
It's a different type of place. Every county's got a little different stuff, but y'all have the issues. It appears to me seems to be because it's an entertainment, vacation destination.
Sure.
Hotel taxes and Chamber of Commerce is highly involved in stuff. So there's a lot of money when all those hotels, and the 10% of it goes into some sort of hospitality tax. So y'all got a big battle down there. So there's a
well, the other thing that I'm thinking about, and I may be crazy. Again, I didn't really get into the whole story, but I've literally been out of the United States for the past 30 years, running businesses in Asia. And, I've left a big company, and now I'm back in America. I'm absolutely appalled with how America has changed in the last 30 years. And, and when I saw what happened with Tom Rice, I'm like, hey, he's in my district. I made primary the dude.
There's finally a couple people talking about it. So, but in the SCGOP, I guess they censored him because of that, because it became public. But I bet you within a year they'll be back to supporting him, either behind the scenes or whatnot, because that's just what he does. They
exactly
not go after those two sitting House reps that endorsed Senator Vince Shaheen, and I'm like, frankly, the just so you know, the rules, if you're like an executive committee person or a member of the party and you actually endorse or donate to a member of another party that is running against a Republican, they can kick you out. And they have kicked people out for it, because years ago there were people that liked some libertarians and stuff like that, and they gave money or endorsed them, and they kicked them out of the party. But these are sitting legislators. I mean, this is a state senator, state rep that endorsed. Go look on our / video. I'm sure it's on there, but the Richie Yao video. It's a 30-second spot. I'm like, don't know. It's
Hey, well, Jeff, not only that, but we have Republican Party chairman and elector women posing with pictures with Joe Biden and Cory Booker and all these others. I mean, these are Republicans sidling up to these Democrats. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah, that's true. And just another example, Roger, the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, because in our state, the governor is not the most powerful person. He's about number 7, or lower on the power scale. We have a legislative state, so is spread out diversely amongst the House and the Senate. Speaker of the House Ways and Means chairman, which is finance, the Senate finance, the Senate president, some other committee member folks like that. That's where the power lies. And the one you'll hear the name spoken the most is Senator Hugh Leatherman out of Florence over there. And I think he's 94 now, if I'm not mistaken. Is he, how old's Senator Leatherman? Is he 94? He's somewhere up there. But he is chairman of finance. And so you got the finance committees up here, and then you make some subcommittees underneath finance. He literally appoints Democrats to be chairperson of those subcommittees. I mean, it's a Republican controlled committee, and the Republican is appointing Democrats to chair committees. I mean, you just don't appoint. I mean, that's the whole point of having control of your chamber. And
plenty of work to do.
Yes, there's a lot of work to do. But he's a former Democrat, and we got a lot of those. So it's not as, I mean, if you look on under our agenda page, because we first started talking about this just being, we're MAGA, America First. And like, what exactly does that mean? So we added an agenda page. But I think the very first item is, we have a problem. And the problem being, and there's an article that's attached to that there was, South Carolina was rated the most liberal red state in the country. It's, people think it's conservative, but look what happened to Georgia. That's if we'll do something and turn it around, that's where we're going.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, Greenville is sort of the barometer right now of how things can turn. And you got some serious population there.
Yep. And it turned in Charleston. I'm originally from Charleston, and we kind of got out of there because it was becoming over and over populated, and it turned, obviously, and it's happening up here in Greenville. And if we don't get ahead of it, and if we just seed the field, they're gonna kick our butts. So that's what we're trying to push them out.
Well, listen, thanks. It was a really good couple hours, and let's stay in touch.
We'll do it, Roger.
Very good.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it, guys.
I'll take
Take care.
Good night.